picture of it. The original speech that I wrote a couple weeks ago before I got sick, I didn't have any pictures, but if you guys saw the news on Friday, they actually had kind of a news story on wolves in Idaho. I don't know if you guys saw it by chance. They were talking about the cattle and the sheep that had been killed. And so today I'm talking about the wolf management in Idaho and how it needs to change.
Tell them all your name.
Oh, my name's Brad Rooney.
There you go. Keep
Sorry.
Good.
You guys sit through another speech, another 3 weeks in a row. I was kind of sick last week, but today I'm talking about wolf management in Idaho and how it needs to change. If you guys saw the news story, they were talking about cattle and sheep that have been killed. And so who knows, or who thinks that wolves only kill to eat, or when they're scared? Does anybody know much about wolves? So kind of, that's kind of the big argument between people who are in PETA and people who love animals, that wolves need to be here. They were here before us. They deserve to be here. And in fact, they are. Paleontologists believe that they were here about 750,000 years ago. Obviously, before we were. The problem with it is there's 35 different species of wolves known to the world. In 1974, the Rocky Mountain gray wolf in the U.S. became listed on the endangered species list. They were, between hunting them and killing them, because people were afraid of them, they became endangered, so they were put on the list. So the U.S., thinking it was a great idea to have a recovery act, they took 35 gray wolves from Alberta and British Columbia, which is, they call them the Canadian gray wolf. They transplanted them to Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. So if you know much about wolves, the northern Rocky Mountain gray wolf is kind of like a shepherd, or kind of a big Rottweiler. The gray wolf is a 125, 150 pound wolf. They're big. The picture that I have is actually a lady here in Idaho who was attacked recently by a wolf. And that's kind of the other reason that they're endangered and the government doesn't do anything about them, is because they say, oh, they don't attack humans. And there's actually been stories lately of all these people that are starting to get attacked by them. And the fact of them is, since the wolves have been introduced in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, the population rate of deer and elk they're almost half. In fact, one story that I read says that in West Yellowstone National Park, there's a 0% calf rate for elk that are surviving. So the wolf population is getting extremely large and everything else is getting smaller. And we live in a society where population is getting bigger and spreading out and wilderness is getting smaller. So eventually, wolves are going to run out of something to eat and they're going to have to start looking somewhere else. And they are. One of the stories that was on the news had to do with wolves. So a ranch in southeastern Idaho had 2 wolves run through their herd of 2,400 sheep. They killed 180 of them running through there. They didn't stop to eat any of them. They killed 180 of them, didn't eat any of them. The thing that people don't realize is wolves have, I have it right here. So they have a litter of 4 to 8 pups, and they're born within 63 days of being impregnated. The numbers are all over the place. For every article that I found that says wolf management is working, there was another one that said it wasn't. And so I've read anywhere from there's 800 wolves to 5,000 wolves in the state of Idaho. So there's a big number. But if you take the 800, figure in 63 days they can have 4 to 8 pups. It's a lot of wolves. And I wish I could show the picture. So wolves, they figured the Rocky Mountain gray wolf is breeding with the Canadian gray wolf. And so the wolves now running around Idaho are around 200 pounds. And they're 6 feet long from the nose to the tail. 6 feet. I'm 5'9", I weigh 170 pounds. The wolves that they're getting around here are just unreal. And they need to step up. Personally, I love animals. I'm an animal lover, have cats, dogs, have all my life, have horses. But I think that they need to change it, and unfortunately, it's going to take killing wolves in order to do it. We made the problem, and now we need to fix it. And the government actually spends probably a couple $1 million each state, because the federal government, because every time a wolf kills a rancher's cattle, we have to pay for it. So they pay for that cattle, and they're getting, the numbers that I have right now, they figure they've killed only about 100 this year. But in 2011, it was like 40. And the sheep, they figure there's 337 that were killed in 2012 and only 100 killed in 2011. So they're getting more and more, they're killing more and more, and unfortunately, the state isn't really doing much about it. So they need to step up. I wish I could show the picture. I actually have some stories. In Idaho City, 20 miles away, 30 miles away, we were part of they have a big race there every year on the motorcycle trails. So they hire, well, you kind of volunteer to ride the trails before the competitors do, just to make sure there's no obstacles in the course. So we were riding it one day, and we came over a hill, and there was a wolf that had a complete front shoulder of an elk in its mouth standing there. And dropped it, took off running. And it took 2 of us to move it. I mean, they're extremely large, and they need to step up before something happens. You know, I love animals, and unfortunately I like bobcats too, but if they ever become endangered, I don't think we should take an African lion and place them here to help recover the bobcats. That's kind of all I had. Any questions? Other questions? Go.
What's like the, so I'm, like, my husband's huge in like the wolf conservation thing on your end, like I was saying there's too many. But what's the like opposing side? What are people saying? What's the opposing side? Like why is it?
They believe that wolves were here and they should be here.
Mm-hmm.
And humans shouldn't be able to kill them.
Do they offer
Period.
anything for like a different route to, or is it?
Not really. There's such a big fight between both sides. One side says, we need to control them, and the only way to control them, obviously, is to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side says, we don't want any animals killed. And so they're having a big problem, and it's just a big fight. The U.S. government actually has listed them and delisted them like 6 times since 2002, because they have more and more lobbyists. They're trying to get them so that a judge will list them again. And the funny thing is so Alaska, Canada, Alaska's a U.S. state, right? I lived in Alaska when they were endangered here in the lower 48, and you're allowed to kill 30 wolves up there in different areas.
You can get a wolf tag here though, can't you?
You
How many
can.
wolf tags can you
So
get?
you can get 3 per person now. And last year, the U.S. gave out Idaho gave out 50,000 tags, and they killed 243 wolves out of 50,000 tags. Because the thing is, people don't realize, you can't hunt a wolf. I mean, you can't hunt them.
They hunt you.
Yeah. They're starting to.
Is there white wolves?
White wolves? Yeah.
Because years ago, we went across one, we went snowmobiling. And I stayed behind, my husband went with my other son, and they saw a white one, and his face was like full of blood. And he actually attacked them,
Yeah.
and he had to kind of throw him over.
Actually, the picture I had today, it wasn't after the news on Friday. I started looking around, and there was a lady here in Idaho. She's from headquarters, which is by Orofino, and she's lived there all her life. She's actually a guide. She was guiding some bow hunters from Minnesota, and she turned around and heard something, and there was a wolf attacking her. And by the time, this is the story, I mean, obviously it's on the internet, so you believe about half of what you read. But she said by the time she got her pistol out of her holster, it was at her feet. And she literally was touching it when she shot it with her pistol. And that's what the picture I had, but my USB drive evidently didn't work. But if you get on, I mean, you would not believe the wolves. They killed a wolf right outside the Fish and Game did in the Danskin Mountains. Do you guys know where? So if the very first turnoff is Black's Creek Road, right outside of Boise past Micron. If you hang a left, that's the Danskin Mountains right there. The Fish and Game killed a wolf right there because it was messing with some people that live there, their dog. And the guy that's holding it, I mean, it's a 200-pound wolf. It's unreal how big they are. And that they're not native to Idaho.
So we brought the wolf in here and then it's a problem, but do you think maybe, is there anything on the opposite side saying maybe we need more conservation areas for these wolves to live?
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, if you look at people are building, I mean, we're in their territory.
Absolutely.
We are taking up their land.
Yeah.
So what are people saying, are they not expecting the wolves to?
Well, I mean, the problem with
defend
it
their
is the
territory?
wolf that was native to Idaho is a Rocky Mountain gray wolf. It's not near as big and near as aggressive. The wolf that we took and put here doesn't belong here. It's twice the size, twice as aggressive, and how are you gonna keep a wolf unless you keep it pinned up? And you're right, I mean, we're moving, we're putting all these animals together, and we're making bigger animals and putting them in there. So I mean, unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot they can really do about it.
And a lot of it isn't, like, the people, it's the wolves are going and killing, like, the ranch, like, the sheep and, like, the cattle and the things that have been there for a while.
Yeah.
And then after the wolves were brought in, then there was an extreme increase where they would, I've seen it, like, they just kill them and just leave them there, like,
Yeah.
they just kill them.
Well, you know, the thing about a pack of wolves is they teach their young how to kill. You know, it's just like lions or anything else. If you watch the Discovery Channel, I mean, they'll literally take them out and teach them how to kill. So when you're having 4 pups a year, you know, and they're teaching them how to do it all year long. And so, it's devastating, the elk and deer herds. Any other questions?
They don't have a natural predator, do they?
Not in Idaho. So from what I read, and I actually have it wrote down, they believe that the climate in Idaho is the reason that the population is getting so crazy. So in Canada, their normal food is so widely spread, and the climate up there is so drastic, it was keeping them kind of in balance.
It's kind of like those idiots down south would get the like huge python snakes and
Oh, yeah.
And they breed them with other snakes.
then they sometimes they get too big.
I thought you
Yeah.
did something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Hey, I'm gonna-
I just thought that they had that much
Something I want to call to your attention, some of you may have done this already. So you go to Blackwood, this will cut off. Forced evaluation, you seen that? And actually, I hope some of you have done it. It will tell me if you've done it. You get, this is crazy, you get 20 extra credit. You're the last semester where they're doing this. Take advantage of it. In other words, they used to encourage extra credit in every class, and so I said, well, what's the most I can give? Like 2/10 of your grade? Sure, I'll give it to you. And now I'm going to be discouraging it next semester. So if you hear that, take advantage of it. It's probably true in a lot of your classes. You can still do it. So that's 2 quizzes. You don't have to say everything, just be truthful. You don't have to be nice. You can just say, how'd this class grab you? Had hundreds of evaluations at this point. So, you know, it's okay. You can kind of really take me on and I'll learn. Because I think that sometimes people want to be so nice or want to be so mean. You know, it's like, well, how about the middle there, right? How'd this work for you? There's that. Here's another thing. Needs to be easy to find, or we never get there. This. Okay? So, some of you don't want anything to do with this, and you don't have to, okay? This is towards our group communication, but we're covering group communication tonight to the degree where you will have no problem talking about on the final and with next week's assignment. But here is a password you type in there, and you can actually watch the different parts of 12 Angry Men, very much so, to where you can answer these 6 questions. One of the questions is just got some blanks. The others, though, have questions that relate about all the material covered.
I have a question on that, or is this part 1 and part 2 in the same video? Is it, they're both on there, or is it separate? Because I was watching it, but I wasn't continuing to.
So there's part 1,
It says part.
and then this is part 2. It went down below it. Weird. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
It's attached to it. So here's part 2.
Oh, okay, I see.
There's part 3, and it's not to the right anymore. It went below it. But could that just be because of my screen?
Browser could be.
Oh, can you
If I
Mine
get
shows up.
smaller,
I think mine went on top of each other too.
if I get smaller, will it finally go? Okay, so it will.
Kind
It depends. So you may want it bigger though. You may want
Okay.
it more.
I wasn't.
And it keeps going and going. So that they're always in these bite-sized segments so that it wouldn't drive you crazy. Okay? Now, get there. I have to go in record time though. I want to share with you this information. Okay? Because, you know, we've done, there's a lot of success in here. We've done a lot of group work. We're okay as far as have we done things together. About every other time, right? You turn something in. So that's the way I like to study everything, actually. Because if I can study